1, change mixed numbers into improper fractions. Keep it, change it, flip it, and we can call it KCF or KFC. If saying KFC helps you because it's like the restaurant, that's fine. Just remember it's actually keep, change, flip. Alright, then you're going to multiply across and simplify. So let's try it. Okay, remember we are multiplying and dividing, so you might use TED, or you might use tic-tac-toe, or maybe you have your own special way to memorize, and that's fine. Looking at my first example, I have 2 negatives. According to tic-tac-toe, 2 negatives gives me a positive answer. I'm going to go ahead and write a positive sign just so I remember. There are no mixed numbers, so I don't have to do step 1. I'm going to go ahead and keep, change, flip. Never, never, never change the first number. So keep 5/8, change to multiplication, and flip 16 and 5. Now I can multiply across. Now, you've got to go back to yesterday's lesson, and remember, we can simplify before we multiply. This one is amazing to simplify. 5 can be divided by 5, and it turns into 1. So it's almost like I don't have to do the multiplication. Then I have 16 and 8, which are both divisible by 2, by 4, or by 8. See how amazing that is? Once we do this simplifying, now it's 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1, and any number over 1 is just itself. So my answer is a positive 2. If you did not simplify ahead of time, you ended up with, I think, 80 over 40, and then you had to top and bottom out. You still get 2 for an answer. You've just got to do a division problem nobody else does. Alright, let's look at the next one. We have a negative and a negative. So a negative and a negative gives me a positive. I'm going to keep, change, flip because I don't need to make it an improper fraction. So go ahead and rewrite. Keep your negative 1/7, change division to multiplication, and flip 14 over 3. Now, you can't simplify 1 and 3, but you can simplify 7 and 14. They both divide by 7. So you can change these to nice, neat numbers as well. So 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, and I know my answer is positive because I already decided that. So my answer is a positive 2/3. Alright, so these next two have mixed numbers. So we do have to do step number 1. So step number 1 is make everything into fractions. So I have 1 and 1/2, and I need to Texas that into a fraction. Oh, I almost made a big mistake. Gave me the wrong answer. Ha. And I'm going to Texas 3 1/3. Sorry about that, guys. That's just the bell. Now, once I've done step 1, I'm done with this problem. I'm going to keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flip. Now I can't simplify. I know my answer is negative because a negative times a positive is a negative. And I'm going to multiply 3 times 3 is 9. And 2 times 10 is 20. I need to simplify if I can, but 9 is prime, and 20 doesn't divide by 9 very nicely, so I'm done. One extra step if it's mixed numbers. So let's try one more with mixed numbers. I have 2 1/4 divided by 3/8. So we're going to change 2 1/4 into a mix, or into an improper fraction. Oops. Not yet. So I have 9/4 divided by 3/8. Now I can keep, change, flip. You can simplify 9 and 3. They both divide by 3. And you can simplify 8 and 4 because they both divide by 4. So I have 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1. Any number over 1 is just itself, and I am positive because they're both positive. Alright, Roberto lives in Beaumont and is driving to visit his cousin in Pasadena. He will use I-10 West and begins his drive at mile marker 156. He exits Pasadena at mile marker 336. If his drive took 1 1/4 hours, what is Roberto's average driving speed in miles per hour? Alright, so this one's a little bit tricky for an example. We need, average says divide, often anyway, and we are dividing miles per hour. So first I need to know how many miles he drove. It doesn't tell us. So if you've ever been on a highway, they have these green signs with the mile markers on it. It's a green sign, the numbers go up and down, and the numbers are usually white. Every mile, it counts the miles. So if he started at 156 and stopped at 336, if we subtract, that'll tell us how many miles he traveled in between. So my miles is 180. My hours is 1 1/4. Could I turn 1 1/4 into a decimal? Absolutely. It's not a fun decimal to divide by. You end up with this. That looks like a yucky division problem to me, but you know, maybe if you're into that thing. I don't know. I'm going to leave it a fraction. So what I am doing is 180 divided by 1 1/4. So step 1 tells me to make everything fractions. So 180, I'm just going to rewrite as 180 over 1. 1 1/4, I'm going to Texas to turn it into an improper fraction. Now I'm going to keep, change, flip. And you will actually come out with a nice whole number for that one. A 35 meter length cable is cut into pieces that measure 1 1/4 meters each. Into how many pieces is the cable cut? So we are cutting the cable. So it is cable divided by pieces, right? So our cable is 35 meters, and we are cutting it into pieces that are 1 1/4 meters. So first step is improper fractions. So 35 is going to get a 1 underneath it. And 1 1/4, maybe you still have your work from when you did it up here. 1 1/4 is the same as 5/4. Now we can do step 2, keep, change, flip. Now the great thing about this one again is simplifying. 35 divides by 5 and 5 divides by 5. So that's going to make life way better. And you are also going to get a nice whole number answer.